Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, guys. How many we got on the call? So we're nearly at 50. So I guess I heard some of George's plug. Obviously, I feel the pressure. But I have support and backup today in the form of Mr. Andy Rosas. So I don't know if you guys I just love saying that last name. I gotta learn on rolling my R's.
Well
Andy.
done. You almost rolled the R's, man. That was pretty good.
It's not bad for a white guy, huh? Rosas. You hear that? See, the gringos got it.
That was good, man.
So I had the pleasure of meeting Andy at shareholders event last year, and wanted to really get close to him and pull him into my world. And he, you know, I was listening to a panel of mastermind, a mastermind panel, 3 people up on the stage. Andy came up at the end of the mastermind. A lot of murmuring. The speech was over. But he caught my attention. He was up there saying a few things about Red X and habits of a top producer and prospecting, and I was captivated. So wanted to get him into my world, and he just did an event recently up here at Celebration Title in Orlando, which was an awesome event. I wanted to get him on today just to run through a couple of things with me and try to bring you guys some value, right? So that you don't feel like you've wasted 30, 45 minutes of your morning. So that's the plan for this morning. Andy, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. What's going on?
Good morning, buddy. Yes, good. So how's Miami?
It's beautiful. Well, it's actually cold now for us. You know how we are.
Yeah. We're a bit more acclimated.
Yeah, but it's going great, man. Going great.
So what do we want to jump into? What do you want to?
Well, we're gonna talk about. I think it's appropriate for some morning routines. We're gonna talk about that. I'm also gonna talk about why agents say they're going to prospect, but they don't, right? Where do habits come from and all these different things. So, and I'll be giving away a morning routine. We're going to build one really quick as well for agents, because I think that's important, right? Because if you don't dominate your morning, the rest of your day is just going to be out of whack. So we'll be discussing that today. So you want me to kick it off, Steve? I can go ahead. Did Steve freeze? I think Steve froze. Yeah, right? Because Kenya, Adriana, can you guys hear me? You all can hear me, right? Yeah. I think this is my cue to just start. Yeah, he's frozen. He unmuted himself. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and get started though, Steve, because it looked like you froze. Yeah. You froze in that awkward position, so it looks like you cramped up in the photo. So that's pretty good. I love it. So guys, how you doing? My name is Andy Rosas. Pleasure to be here. I'm the co-founder of The Habit Guys, and we strictly focus on changing realtors' habits. So you guys are in for a treat today. Going to give you guys some tools to walk away from today. Now, my promise is going to be simple, short and sweet, guys. I got short and sweet, where I'm going to teach you why you guys say something is important to you, but you never seem to make time for it. Specifically, consistently prospecting. But if you're struggling with getting to the gym, working out, eating right, you know you want to, but you don't, well, today's going to show you why that's the case. And then I'm also going to give you guys, like I said, let's walk through a quick morning routine so I can show you guys how to be specific in your morning so you gain more control in your morning. Okay, I'll be giving you that. It's a 3 easy step program I'll be giving everyone as a thank you for being here today. Okay, now before I get started, I'm not sure if many agents knew this, but nearly 90% of real estate agents quit the business, according to NAR, right? The National Association of Realtors. And I think now with the market getting tighter and agents still not prospecting, that's just a formula for a lot of agents quitting the business if we're not careful this year, all right? And what NAR is saying is that agents are not prospecting enough. Like that's what's happening out there. Steve, are you good? You back on?
Finally, if you guys can hear me, my apologies. Technical difficulties this morning. Don't want to interrupt. Andy, run with it, man.
Run with it? All right. Thanks a lot, man. Thank you. So what happens is this, everyone, like agents don't suck. Everyone's like, agents suck. Agents are horrible. Like, no, that's not what's happening. Simply what's happening is this. Agents, we left a job, we got a license, we joined a brokerage, right? And the brokerage gives us all the tools to be successful. But what happens is, even though physically we are here in this entrepreneurial world, we still have habits from 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago that we haven't changed. And you're going to see how strong bringing your old habits into real estate, like what's going on. Okay. So if you're taking notes, I would take these notes. When it comes to science and making change, so if you guys want to go to the gym more, if you want to eat better, if you want to prospect more, please take notes, because this is going to explain to you where change comes from. There you go, Kenya. She got her notes ready. I like it. And her coffee. Let's go. I love it. So the first level of change is called outcome change. Outcome change is where you say things like, I want to lose weight this year. I want to make more money. I want to drive a fancy car. Great. Those are the things that you want in life. Then the second level of change is called process change. Process change is when you say things like, I'm going to join a new team, a new membership, a new gym membership. I'm going to buy a new CRM. I'm going to buy a new website, a new lead generator. Great. Those are the things you're going to do to get the things you want. Then at the center, you have what's called identity change. Identity change is when you say things, this is your belief system. This is where your self-image lives. So when you say things like, I hate prospecting, that little voice, the little drunk monkey in our brain, or I can't afford that, or I just love this type of food. Que rico, as we say here in Miami, right? Well, Steve probably says that too. I think he speaks a little Spanish. He acts like that. You're almost South Florida, Steve. You're almost in South Florida, kind of close, man. So
people actually say they hate prospecting.
I think so. They may not say it, but that little voice inside says it.
Right.
So if you guys have ever said like, man, I love the morning, or I don't like the morning, whatever it is, that's your belief system. It's what you believe you can or cannot do. Okay. It's a very simple thing. It's that little inner voice runs everything. Now, outcomes is what you get. Process is what you do. Identity is what you believe, okay, about yourself. Now, please write this down, because this is the most important part of what I'm going to teach you all today, is this. Behind everything you and I do as humans, we do it because we believe it. If your financial life sucks, it's because you believe it on some sort of level. If your spiritual life sucks on some level, it's because there's a belief system lacking in there that you believe you can or cannot do something. If your body is not where it needs to be, if your life is not where it needs to be, it's because that segment of your life, there's a gap of identity. There's a belief level that hasn't changed. And until you don't change that belief level, your outside life, your results are not going to change. And
Andy, can I interject real quick? Sorry, man.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, when we say belief, it's almost like self-talk, right? Like you said, I hate prospecting. I don't spend enough time in the word. So it's self-talk, and we've just got to be cognitive of that. There's a great book, if you guys pick it up, it's called Soundtracks by John Acuff. Okay. I'm nearly done with it, but in the essence, the book is just about self-talk and how it forms our beliefs. But go ahead, Andy.
Really?
Sorry.
It's called Soundtrack?
Soundtracks. It's a great book. Yeah.
I'm going to check that out. I like that. Yeah. Because Steve, you're right, man. Everything that little voice in our head is what gets us going. And you're going to see an example of this, because I don't like to get too high level. I want to get in the weeds. So everyone take a look at this, because this could be something that you can relate to. So I want everyone to wave at Tom real quick. Everyone say hi to Tom.
Tommy.
Now check out Tom. Tom's right there. He's chilling at home. He's loving life. He's a 10-year agent. 5 years, he was a top producer. But the last 3 years, guys, Tom's been struggling, making less than $50,000 a year. He knows what to do, but he's just not doing it. And by the way, he has all the scripts, all the tools and resources. He has all the morning routines. We gave it to him. Guys, by the way, if you guys want scripts so you don't sound too salesy or too friendly, if you guys want a copy of today's morning routine, if you got in English and Spanish, if you want the guides that we use, you can go to habitguys.com/free whenever you want, and you can download all those bad boys for free. We gave it to Tom. I'm going to give it to you. It has a copy of the morning routine as well. Everything that we cover, all of our free resources, guys, you'll love it. It's amazing. Go on there, download them. You'll enjoy them. Okay. Now, Tom knows this. He's like, oh, great. I got scripts. I got resources. I know what to do. Awesome. And he knows he has to prospect. He's like, yeah, I know how to, Andy, I get it. I know I have to prospect. I get it. Okay. But look what starts to happen to Tom. Tom is at home. He has his list. And then he starts to feel a little bit uncomfortable because he starts reading the list of people he has to call. And he's like, man, Steve Pugh, man, that name sounds kind of gangster. It's pretty intimidating. I don't know, man. I'm not going to call that guy. A little too many. I don't know. Tiffany Mosby. I used to date a Tiffany and it wasn't that good. I'm kind of scared of her too. I don't know. Kenya, same thing. That name sounds kind of tough. I'm not going to call that name either. You know what? It's 9 o'clock in the morning right now. I think I'm calling too early. You know what? It's 12 o'clock. I think I'm calling during lunch. They're probably having a Bambi steak right now and I don't want to interrupt them. You know what? It's 6 o'clock right now. They probably just had a hard day at work. They're picking up their kids and I don't want to bother them either, right? That little voice, that little drunk monkey in our brain, right, Steve? That soundtrack. I wanted to pick that up.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes,
Those
sir.
little voices in our head. Okay. So he's like, you know what? I cannot prospect. You heard what he just said? Oh, I can't prospect like this. I'm uncomfortable. That belief level. Okay.
Andy, I used to do it. I was guilty, man. I used to call it call bias. So you'd go through a list of people and you'd convince yourself why you shouldn't call that person and why you should skip them and just go to the next one.
Yep.
9 times out of 10, when I got the fortitude or the strength to call that person that I was trying to avoid,
okay,
something came out of the conversation. Either I strengthened the relationship, got a referral, or got.
Come on.
So,
isn't that crazy? Yeah. It's a liar. It's a liar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tom, he's like, man, I can't prospect when I'm uncomfortable. So guess what he does? He goes to Steve Pugh's motivational playlist on music and downloads the latest jams, or goes to YouTube and he downloads a Tony Robbins video, or he downloads the Rocky soundtrack. He starts feeling, with the, Eye of the Tiger soundtrack, and he starts feeling excited. And Tom is like, yeah, now I can prospect. Now I'm ready, right? That belief system, the I can't, I can, I can't, I can't. So now he's ready. Now he's like, all right, cool. Now I'm going to make these calls. I'm fired up. Let's go. But then he's like, wait a minute. Man, my desk is a little bit messy. I can't prospect with a messy desk. See, I can't. So he fixes up his desk and then he cleans the bathroom real quick. Then he actually goes and cleans the kitchen real quick. And then he paints his house. He paints his neighbor house. He goes and, cleans his car, his wife's car. He does all those duties that he was supposed to do that his wife told him to do. What a perfect time to do all those things, right? Right before you're about to prospect. Isn't that a coincidence? So then he's like, all right, now I'm ready. Now I can prospect. But then he goes and he looks at that coffee and he's like, man, I'm craving coffee. And if you're in South Florida, we call it what? Cafecito down here in Miami. And Kenya's like, yup, I got my coffee right now. Right, we got our coffee. He's like, man, let me get my cafecito. Let me go to Starbucks real quick, or Sedano's, or wherever you go get your coffee, right? And he goes for 20, 30 minutes and he gets his coffee, calls up his buddies, just starts talking about the Super Bowl and how he wished the halftime show was a little bit longer, whatever, okay? And he just starts making it happen like that, right? 30 minutes go by. And then he's like, all right, now I'm ready. Now I can prospect. But then he's like, wait a minute though, I had my coffee. I think I have to go to the bathroom right now. I'm not sure if I do, but I think I have to go to the bathroom. Let me go to the bathroom real quick and just see what happens. I don't know, right? Because I can't prospect, I have to use the bathroom. So he does that. And then he goes, all right, now I'm ready to make some calls. Okay. But wait a minute. Let me go on the MLS real quick. Okay. And let me just check inventory. Let me go and get another tutorial. Let me go learn something. Let me go see what the interest rates are in China are doing, just in case somebody asks me how the interest rates in China are doing, right? Let me see how many foreclosure properties, what the penny per square foot is in my property in Oklahoma, just in case somebody asks me that. Let me go find out all this other information, just in case somebody asks me this, okay?
Andy, one of the things I used to do too, I hate to keep cutting you off.
No, don't worry, man.
If I was calling FSBOs or expireds, I would, or even a lead that we had in our CRM, I would research the friggin' property that they'd inquire on. I'd sit there for like 5 minutes, researching it, see what it sold for last. You know what I mean? Now it's just, as it's become a habit. I don't do it. I just pick up the phone and go, Yep. But I was guilty of it for a long time.
And Steve, we get this a lot with our students, like because we prospect with our students live, right? So our coaches get to see the screen. We get to hear our students prospect live. So we know what they're doing. And Steve, we call this pre-qualifying the leads. Stop pre-qualifying the cold leads. You're going on there, looking at their property.
Kenya's guilty. I think Kenya's guilty, Andy.
No, it's very common. It's very common. It's the thinking, right? So that's what starts to happen, because you just want to do something else that's comfortable instead of just making that phone call, right? So you can see how strong identity is. That Agent Tom, by the way, he does everything in his business besides prospect. And prospecting is the most critical part of his business. He also watches Netflix sometimes, right? He's also look at this one. I have some agents that are making about $100,000 a year, or 150 or 200. And Steve, they stay in that area and that's all they make, and they don't make any more money because they're too busy closing business. Right. This is also something that happens where agents get caught up on that 1 or 2 deals they're working on, and everything else shuts down. And they only focus on those 2 deals. They don't prospect anymore. They don't have time for it. And then once they close those 2 deals, they have nothing after that. And then they're playing catch up.
That's something I try to help my guys with, right? Dealing with business should never take precedence over finding new business.
There you go.
That's what happens. We get caught up. You know what I mean? That's why you've got to leverage through people. I think a TC is invaluable as long as you're going to be using that time wisely, which is meaning wisely. It's finding new business, Right.
So, and that's what got you the deal to begin with, right? And it's like, man, you cannot stop prospecting, guys. And that's a big problem. And Steve, you nailed it. They're too busy in business, and then they have no pipeline after that. And that's what makes them, they have a good year, bad year, good year, bad year, good year, bad year. And that's this roller coaster they go on. So, So guys, prospecting is the most critical part of our business. We know this, yet a lot of agents don't do it because they haven't changed their belief system, their identity. And that's what it looks like in their household. And they just procrastinate, they put it off. And then most agents blame themselves or others and eventually quit. And remember, guys, listen, it's not your fault. Okay. I will say this to you. It's not your fault. The reason why you procrastinate and you have an identity issue, it's because you've been an employee for 10 years, 20 years, and you haven't changed that employee belief system.
This was huge. This really hit me. This was big right here.
A lot of agents are like, oh, I suck, or I'm horrible, or I'm like, no, it's not you. It's because you're used to being an employee, working 9 to 5, being told what to do. You haven't been in a position where you have to grow the business. You have to prospect. You have to make it happen. So that's where what we teach in Habit University in our habit program is we change your belief system about yourself. Because what happened was Tom, his employee belief system was he's always used to work, always generating a result. And we all know as an employee, as an entrepreneur now, that everything you do does not generate a result. But as an employee, remember, you work 9 to 5, you get paid every 2 weeks, and you're always used to doing something and getting something. But as an entrepreneur, you understand, or as a top producer, you know that, hey, you're not guaranteed anything. You can do things and not get things back. It's very common. And also this one, Steve, right, is you have a lot of agents out there that all they do is focus on their website or their business cards or lead generators, and they think that's going to make them successful. but they have all these beautiful websites. They have a white BMW, a beautiful little business card. They got a nice headshot. They look fantastic, but they're not prospecting every day. And
It's
that's
the
why
shiny
they're
object, right? And I
Yeah.
said this before, the results that people are seeking are in the activities they're avoiding, you know?
Yep, you
So,
nailed it.
mhm,
The shiny object, man. That's so true.
yeah,
So we have to change this whole process, guys, with stop worrying about getting stuff and start prospecting daily. That's what we have to do. And a lot of us can relate to this, right? We can relate to this Tom story on some level. Like, man, this is why I'm not going to the gym like I should. And like, I'm not eating right like I should. I'm not prospecting like I should. So it goes around in circles right there. Okay. Any questions about habits or anything? I'm going to go into the morning routine for about 5 minutes and teach that to you guys before I get into it. But I wanted to see anyone have any questions about habits or routines or prospecting? Any questions about it?
obviously I've got something to say. My morning routine has become a habit, right? And if I don't do it, my day feels off. Like yesterday, I didn't do my morning routine. I had some medical thing I had to deal with, and my day was just, I didn't feel the same. So it's, nobody wants to live a disciplined life, right? That's terrible. Nobody wants to be disciplined. We don't. All you've got to do, though, in my opinion, Andy, is just have enough willpower, because willpower comes and goes. But if you can
Right.
have enough willpower to stay disciplined until something becomes a habit, then you're good.
Correct. You got to do it just enough times where it becomes part of just your day to day.
Right. Because we've all got, like I said, we've all got bad habits. If we turned around and we'd be like, well, what the heck am I doing? Well, you've done it so long, you're used to doing it, it's a habit, and it's not serving you.
Correct.
So we just need to change the habits for good, you know?
You're right. And you just said it, like the same way we build bad habits, it's slowly but surely, right? We didn't become overweight overnight, right?
Right.
It was slow little decisions, bad decisions we made. So why not use that same science to our benefit and do slow little good habits until it becomes automatic for you and you're prospecting like you're checking Instagram, right? With that same
Yeah.
love. So yeah, that's what we do. We teach the same way you build bad habits, we teach you how to build good habits in our habit program. So you actually build the right habits of prospecting with the same
Right.
ease.
Right, because it's going to keep the people on this call in the game.
Yeah.
It's going to keep them, and it's going to help them grow their business. And that's what we want to try to do, you know?
Correct. Because a lot of people probably won't be here next year. Because
Right.
if you're not prospecting daily and you're not making friends daily, it's harder to close deals right now in this market. We're seeing it. So we got to really pay attention and change those habits and do so, especially in the morning. So let's go into the morning routine really quick, guys. It's a 3-step process. So if you have a piece of paper in front of you, because you need to be clear in the morning as to what you're going to do. Like Steve says, we're the same way. If my morning routine doesn't happen, my whole day feels out of whack. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'll recommend this to everybody. You should be working out. You should do your spiritual practice, which should be maybe journaling, meditation, worship, Bible study, whatever your connection to something bigger is, right? A spiritual practice and prospecting should be done before 12 o'clock. Like those 3 things should be nailed down before noon. Okay. Now for my part-time agents, obviously you may have a different schedule. So then you can probably prospect around 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon when you get back from work. That's fine. But one thing I will challenge everybody here today is on your piece of paper, I want you to write this down. I want you to write down on the very top of your paper, put wake up. And then on the bottom of your paper, put prospect. So right now we're going to build a quick blueprint to get you from waking up to prospecting. Right now, we're going to do it right now together. And by the way, Steve, how much time do I have?
No, we're good. We'll go to about 9:15, maybe
Tiffany,
another
are we good?
20 minutes.
Okay, we can go another like 10 minutes or so. We're good. Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Good.
Making sure. So let's develop a quick plan, because I'll tell you guys this. If I were to ask you what time you prospect and you can't answer that question, guess what that tells me?
Yeah.
You're probably not doing it. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? If I were to ask you, what time do you go to the gym? Guess what? And you're not clear with that, then you probably don't go to the gym as you should. You need to be specific as to when you prospect. You need to be specific as to when you spend time in your spiritual practice. You should be specific as to when you go to the gym, okay? Because you are specific when I ask you what time you have dinner, or you pick up your kids, or you do other things, and you do that all the time, right? So you need to be specific as to when you prospect. So the first thing we notice with our students is the reason why you're not prospecting is because you're not clear. So right now, I need you to write down on the bottom of your sheet where you put prospecting. Please write down the time you are going to dedicate prospecting. What time are you going to prospect? It could be 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning. Write down a time that you say that's going to be my prospecting hour. Like for me, it's 10:30 in the morning. That's my time. Okay. 10:30 is my prospecting hour. 10:30 to 12:30 is when I prospect. Okay. Some of you only can prospect for 30 minutes. Some of you are prospecting for 3 hours, whatever that is. But you need to write down specifically, that's the time I'm going to prospect. And we're going to build a quick morning routine to get you there.
Real quick,
Yeah.
somebody that's not doing this consistently, how do we help them? Because you don't want to go overboard, right? And we'll get into Q&A. I'm sure there's questions. Who do I call? What do I say? I mean,
Yeah.
what do you think? Do they start with an hour?
Not even that. I would just say 15 minutes, man. 10 minutes tops.
Like knowing that you're going to build from there, though, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Like, just guys, if you're not prospecting every day, I would block off an hour, Steve. I would block off an hour, but I would only commit to like 10 minutes.
I challenge everybody when this call is over. I challenge everybody. That's your time. 9:30 to 10:30. Pull your finger out of your and start prospecting. You know, all you got to do is just go on your phone. Go on your phone and make a commitment to yourself for your own integrity to just reach 5 people out of your phone and say, hey, I dropped the ball. We haven't spoken in a while. This is a business call. I'm in real estate. I'm still in real estate. Direct question. Who do you know that's looking to make a real estate move in the next 12 months? That's it.
That's it.
You know?
And if you need a script, guys, go to habitguys.com/free. And there's a script there of how to talk to your friends in a business conversation. Here's another thing, Steve. I'm glad you said that. Because guys, Steve said key things there. I don't want you calling people and saying, hey girl, what's up? How you doing? You know I'm still in real estate, right? All right, well, call me if you need me. Bye. That is not prospecting.
Yeah.
Is that clear? That's too friendly. And you can't be too salesy either. Okay, because no one likes too salesy. It has to, what we call, it's called a business conversation, where you're still you, you're still authentic, you're still Steve, but you're having that conversation moving along in a business format. That's why having a script is key, because you need to have some fundamentals covered. Don't get caught up in memorizing. You just have to understand the framework of a script. Okay.
Can you drop forward in the chat? So family, occupation, recreation, dreams. You can always, if you're confused on what to say, you can use that as an outline, right? With the understanding, though, it's a business call and you want to be intentional. So, correct. Sorry, Andy. Go ahead.
No. And the analogy I give is, if I go to a bar and I meet some girl and I'm like, hey, my name's Andy, we should hang out sometime, and I just leave, that's kind of awkward. Like, what the heck just happened there? Did I show interest? Am I interested? Do I want her number? Do I not? Am I going to like, same thing in real estate. You have to show interest. Like you said, Steve, show interest. I'm here to help you out. Real estate question. And then boom, can we stay in touch? Right? Yeah. Like and then you can sprinkle in questions there as well. Like you guys just said with your format, of course, but it has to be a business conversation. Okay. So you have now you have your sheet of wake up, and you have a time you're going to put down of what time you're going to prospect. If you guys are in the chat, just tell me what time you guys are going to prospect. 9, 10, 11. I want to see in the chat. I want to see people's times. So Kenya's at 10 a.m. Awesome. Look at that. Bill Bliss at 9:45. Let's go. Perfect. 10 o'clock, 10:30 to Joe, like me. Adriana, 11 to 12. Will, 10. See, now we're specific. Look at this. Holly at 9 to 10. Perfect. And if some of you have part-time jobs or whatever, it could be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you do 1 hour, and then Tuesday, Thursday, you do something else. It happens. Okay. Nothing's perfect, but at least you're consistent. Gene, Angela,
That's good, guys.
I like this.
Mhm.
Good. So now you're specific. And guess what? Tell everybody in your house that that's when you prospect. Put a sign outside your door to let the kids know. Have a meeting in your house and tell everyone in your house, guys, I am prospecting from 10 to 10:30 every day, or 10:30 to 11:30, whatever your prospecting time is. Let everybody know that, hey, when mom's in the office or dad's in the office, please do not open the door. That is my power hour. That is my prospecting hour. And that's the time that I'm going to be able to build this legacy of a business to provide a lifestyle for everybody here. Right, guys? I need to be out there. So when you have that discussion with your household, it makes it clear. Okay.
Protecting your time. That's the biggest enemy right there. Because when that thing goes off, it's like, oh, I got to respond to the text now. Or I got to respond to that email right away. It's the tyranny of the urgent.
Yep.
So that can be a big distractor.
Yeah, Kenny, you're right. Put that focus mode on. And there's so many features now on the phone to block off beeps. Guys, if your phone is beeping on emails and text messages and all that, I'm telling you, you are so not focused. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
The studies show that a sound can just take you off of concentration, and it takes you about 10 minutes to get back to that level of concentration again. We're so distracted. Yeah. And it happens to us. So we have to make sure we're aware of that and do things around that. So good. Yeah. Listen, I'm the same way. I need complete silence, because if not, I'm like squirrel, and then I just start doing something else and I'm gone. So
hey, Andy, check it out. Somebody bought me that, man. What does that tell you?
That's amazing, dude.
I might have problems around that, huh? Yeah.
Dude, you got a trophy, the
I'm
distraction
guilty.
trophy.
Guilty.
Me too, Steve. Me and you have a lot of similarities, man. So I get it, man. I totally get it. So, all right. So now you guys have your prospecting time written out, and just try this out. I'm telling you, it's going to be great. Put it in your calendar as well. Block off that time in your calendar. Don't set up appointments. Don't do breakfast with somebody. Don't do doctor appointments during your prospecting hour. I don't want you doing things. I want you to treat that hour like you did back in the day when you had a meeting as an employee. Guess what? When you had a meeting as an employee, you couldn't move it. That's it. Don't move it. You got to treat your business as you did as a job, because as a job, you couldn't negotiate those times. When your boss told you you had a meeting at 11 every Monday, guess what? You had to do it. And when you have to show up at 8 o'clock in the morning, you have to show up. So if you guys put the same amount of time of that employee time into your business prospecting, oh my gosh, just a quarter of it, you guys would be super successful. So we got to treat it that way. So let's do step number 1 right now. All right. Step number 1 is, I need you to write everything down in the morning that you do, from the moment you wake up to the moment you're supposed to prospect. So write down a list and do it on paper, please. Because if you do it on paper, you're going to be less distracted. Because if you do it on your phone or iPad or anything, it's going to be distracting. So that's why I said, take out a sheet of paper, right on the very top, wake up, and on the bottom, put the prospecting hour, like 9 a.m. or 10, whatever. And I need you to write down everything you do in the morning. As you can see, the sample list here I have, you put wake up, snooze alarm, turn off alarm, check your emails, go to the bathroom, you weigh yourself, and don't worry about it being good or bad. Just write everything you do in the morning. This is like an inventory you're going to do of everything you do in the morning. Okay, good, bad, sideways, doesn't matter. Just write.
Guys, and I'm gonna, I'm not perfect. Every day is a struggle, right? But I'm gonna tell you, over time, and this is what I tell people. So I'm up pretty early. I'll do my readings. I'll write 3 goals for the day, a couple of things I'm grateful for. I work out. I read my devotional. Am I more ready for the day and I come charging into the day versus somebody who wakes up and looks at social media for the first 30, 45 minutes of their day? Who's more ready for that day? In my professional opinion, you know what I mean? So that's what I would want to hope. And there's days that like yesterday. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm just saying I'm more ready for the day than somebody that wakes up at 7:30 and looks at social media for 30 minutes.
That's so true.
But it's a process. I didn't, you get there just by working on it, like we're saying, in small increments.
That's all it is. And
Yeah.
try this tomorrow, guys. So like Steve says, small increments, challenge yourself tomorrow to try this morning routine out, and you're gonna see, we got 2 more steps to cover. But when we're done, try it out tomorrow and try to make that 1 phone call at the time you're supposed to. I'm telling you, it's gonna be an amazing feeling. So write down everything you're doing. Now, the reason why I want you guys to write everything down, it's because, like Steve says, a lot of us just react and we wake up and we do whatever comes our way. So I'm gonna give an analogy. When you go to the grocery store without a shopping list, what happens? Kenya's like, yep. You waste time, you waste money, you don't buy what you should. You're walking around and you buy whatever BOGO pops up, right? You're like, oh, look, a BOGO of Oreo cookies. Oh, something I don't need, great, but let me just buy it. Oh, let me just do that. And then you forget things. The same thing happens in the morning. If you wake up and you're not intentional with your morning, that's what your morning looks like. You waste time, you're not intentional, and then you're like, oh, and then some days you have a good day, some days you have a bad day, but most days are just kind of in the middle, right? And it's all dependent on, well, my kids woke me up this time, and then this time I didn't have any distractions, so I had a good day. Well, it shouldn't be dependent on other people if you have a good day or not. It's because you're not intentional. So that's why I need you to write a list down of everything you do. We're going to create that shopping list right now. First, let's write everything down, okay? And by the way, be specific. Don't just say, I wake up, I go to the gym, I shower, I prospect. No, because you wake up, you turn on the lights, you go brush your teeth, I hope. You go to the bathroom, coffee, walk your cats and your dogs. That'd be funny if we walk our cats, right, Steve? I have 2 cats.
I know people that do. So Andy, I know you're going to build up to it, but what's important about every little thing?
The reason is this: when we finish, when you start calibrating your morning routine, and tomorrow you're going to try this out, you're going to realize, dang, man, I failed here. When I did this here, my whole morning went out of whack. So you have to be specific, because if you just make it very generic and say, hey, I woke up, went to the gym, came back, that's not specific enough to know if you missed the gym, why you didn't go to the gym. So you have to be specific, because then if you say, I checked my Instagram, and then you notice after checking Instagram, you didn't get to the next step, then you know checking Instagram was your problem.
Yeah.
You were specific.
Okay.
Like you have to be very specific. Or I watched the news really quick, boom. And then you notice watching the news triggers you. Because haven't you guys noticed, you do one little activity, like check your phone, and then you're Googling polar bears and watching cat memes, and you're like, how the heck did I get here, right? Well, it's because once you start something, your brain now can start going everywhere. And so you have to be aware of that trigger. What triggered you to waste time? Okay. So you won't be able to know what your triggers are unless you're specific. So that's why on this list, I want to give you that example. Be specific. You shower, you wash your face, everything.
Yeah.
So any questions on step 1 before I go to step 2?
Good.
No? All right. So here we go. So step 2, grade yourself. I need you to put a plus sign, minus sign, and a neutral sign next to every activity you wrote down. Now here is where you grade yourself. Plus sign means that's what a stud muffin like Stephen Pugh should do. Minus sign means I shouldn't be doing that. And neutral sign means it has no value whatsoever. It's fine. It doesn't have, it's a neutral. So plus sign means that's what a top producer should do. That's what I should be doing. That's what's making me go and get to prospecting. It's a plus thing. That's good. It's not distracting me. It's moving me forward. Like Steve said, it's giving me that momentum so I can show up at full speed as opposed to just waking up random.
So Andy, we talked about this Friday, and I didn't know you had this slide deck, but this is what my coach has me doing, right? 9, 12, 3 and 6 o'clock throughout the day,
Yeah.
my alarm goes off and I've got to make a note of whether I'm doing a plus activity or whether I'm on Facebook. So
There you
yeah,
go.
and I'm gonna add them up at the end of the day, and maybe 2 pluses, 2 negatives. Yesterday was 3 pluses, 1 negative. So it's same premise. It's big. It's a big deal.
And it's an alarm that goes off, right, in your day? Is that what
Yeah,
it is?
9, 12, 3, and 6. Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes you aware of what you're doing. Yeah. And it calls you out. It's an accountability tool too, right? It's calling you
Yeah.
out. Like, oh man.
Yeah.
So grade everything you guys just wrote down. A plus sign means yes, I should be doing that. Minus sign means nope, it's distracting me from prospecting. And neutral sign is it has no plus or minus. So like for me, I need to wake up and get to the gym as soon as possible. I need to work out first. Some people are like, they wake up and they can meditate. Nope. I wake up and I meditate, I'll go back to sleep. Okay, I can't do that. I am someone that needs to wake up and move. So plus sign for me is going to the gym, right? Eating, drinking water, washing my face so I can stay up. I'm telling you that's big. Yeah, Mateo, same thing, right? And then some of you, you'll do it in the you'll wake up and do your spiritual practice or journaling and meditation first. It's up to you. There's no right or wrong for that. It's your style. And then minus sign of the things that you know already, like social media, checking your email. Guys, like we get lost in that email drip or WhatsApp chats, all these WhatsApp chats that we belong to. And then we just get caught up in responding to text messages and emails. And then we just, we're done. We're wasting time. And then neutral are things like, going to the bathroom and whatever, things that have no value whatsoever.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bill Bliss. That's a neutral. Love you, Bill. Carry on, Andy. Sorry.
All right. And then step 3, guys, the final step is make another list. I recommend a Post-it note. Just remember these things. Grab a Post-it note and write down all of the positive and neutral things on a new sheet of paper. That's going to be your new list, your new morning routine that you're going to work with now. So you take all the negatives out and you just stay with all the positive and neutral activities. That's the big that net. And finally, you have a list that you can work with starting tomorrow. Okay. And I want this on paper because if you try to memorize this, it won't work because you can't change your habits overnight, guys. Your brain, how many times have you said, oh, when I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then you wake up and don't do any of it. It's because your brain's used to reacting to the day like you have been for the past 20 years. Mm-hmm. So slowly but surely you have to change it. So having it on paper helps you because what I want you to do is walk around with this paper in your hand. I recommend you put it on your phone or next to your phone when you wake up. You grab the sheet of paper and then you walk around the house with it and you out loud, you say, all right, turn on the lights, brush my teeth, and you go brush your teeth. Because scientifically, when you use more senses like sound, touch, your vision, now your brain is being controlled by you now, as opposed to the brain controlling you. You're controlling the brain instead of the brain controlling you. So tell your husband or wife, hey, I'm going to be reading things out loud at 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning. I might sound like a lunatic, but this is why I'm doing it, because I'm trying to change my behavior in the morning. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's why you need to be able to do that right there and be able to just say, brush my teeth, brush your teeth, wash my face, you go wash your face, put on my gym clothes, you put on your gym clothes, and you follow it like a blueprint, follow it like a treasure map, everybody. Because if you don't do this, what you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing you did yesterday.
Exactly.
The same thing before.
95% of human beings don't change. So if you want to see change, you have to be change, right? Otherwise,
Yep.
This year's going to look like last year.
It'll look the same. So now, you have this sheet. Now, by the way, you're going to make changes to it now. Okay? So Steve, a big problem with me, as you guys can already tell, used to be waking up. So coffee to me, I used to have to get coffee in the morning, right? So coffee used to be number 4 or 5 on my list. But guess what would happen, Steve? I would wake up, I would go to the bathroom. It's super early, it's cold, the AC's kicking. And guess what? As an entrepreneur, I would just go right back to sleep and say, what's the big deal? I don't have a boss. I'll sleep in for another hour. Come on. It's so cold. The pillow, you flip the pillow, it's cool. Oh, so nice. Right. And I would sleep in. And that was awful for me early on in my career. I hated it. Right. Because I was living a life out of integrity. The rest of the day would pile up on me. But then I realized, I'm like, man, it has to change. So then I moved coffee from number 5 to number 2. So as soon as I wake up, I will go back in the day. I had a K-cup, the Keurig machines and all that. Now I have an espresso, because I'm balling like that, Steve. It's an espresso now, right? So the K-cups, put that in. I have the coffee being made. I go to the bathroom, and then I would try to go back to sleep, but I can't because now I know coffee's waiting for me. The smell of coffee now is in my house, and now I'm like, all right, I gotta go get that coffee, and then I go grab that coffee, I drink it, and then at that point I can't go back to sleep. So little things like that, you'll start to tweak,
Yeah, you outsmarted yourself.
Exactly. You have to do things. Yeah, you got to do things that prevent you against you.
Yeah, agreed.
So you'll start making tweaks like that. And like everyone here, listen, if you have any questions, listen, my cell phone number is 305-916-9000. If you want to shoot me a text, you have a question about your routine, I gave you guys scripts and resources. If you guys want to listen to me cold call live every Wednesday for free at 5 p.m., I do that as well. So you guys can hear me prospect live in English and Spanish. At 5:30, I do it in Spanish. At 5 o'clock, I do it in English. I just want to be a resource for every single one of you because you guys have great support here with this team. I'm telling you, you guys take advantage of it. And I just want to make sure I help you change your habits so you can utilize everything that they're teaching you here. And having me come on here says a lot about your team, because when they bring on speakers like myself, that means they care about you because they know we're bringing in value to help you change your life.
Absolutely.
What was that phone number, brother?
It's 305-916-9000.
Andy, a couple of things I want to hit on before we go, and then we'll just do some brief Q&A. Nothing against social media, and obviously I'm not saying it doesn't generate business and it's powerful, but is social media prospecting?
No.
Okay, so you heard it here.
No,
okay,
it's not. It doesn't
social
substitute.
Media is not prospecting, people.
Yeah, not at all.
Okay, and then what are some people's struggles around prospecting? Do you think? Do you think it's the fear of doing it's fear is probably the biggest thing, right? What do you think?
Yeah, the fear is, and also I think the scripts sometimes make agents sound like cheesy salespeople, and they themselves don't believe the script, so they don't want to be that person that's using that script, so they don't want to sound like that person, so they don't call.
That's why it's important to script and role play, even if you do it on your own, or if you can find a partner, because you'll internalize the script and then you'll be able to use it whenever it's applicable in the conversation rather than sounding robotic, right?
Correct.
But you're not going to internalize it unless you do it. What I did for 30 days straight, whichever script I was working on, I would write it out. I would write it out for 30 days and I would read it aloud for 30 days. And then it helped me internalize it quicker. Whether it's a FSBO script, expired script, sphere of influence script, you need to find one, a good one, write it out for 30 days, read it out loud for 30 days, and you'll internalize it quicker.
Yep. And it gives you the confidence to deal with a yes and deal with a no the right way, right? So that's what you have to know. You have to know just the framework of the script so you know how to move a conversation forward. If someone goes, this is a wrong number, my property doesn't expired anymore, you need to know what to say to that. This is what you mean. Yeah.
Karen just dropped in. That's a huge one we missed, but rejection, right? So my thoughts on rejection. Obviously, no one wants to get rejected. It's easier said than done. You just can't let emotion play into it. It's building a muscle, right? If you prospect one day and then don't do it until 4 days later, you almost lose that momentum. That's why you have to get into the habit of doing it every day. When people hang up on me now, it's right on to the next call. If anything, I make fun of it. you know?
Right.
So obviously there's still that little feeling, I can't believe this guy, but it's right on to the next call, right? You don't sit there and dwell about why somebody hung up on you. The number for the live call on Wednesday, Andy.
Just have them, they can text me or they can go to habitguys.com/training for that. Or they can
Gotcha.
text me. Say, hey, Andy,
Okay.
send me the scripts or send me the I want to hear you make phone calls live, and I'll just send them the same link. They can go to habitguys.com/training.
I run one too we're actually going on vacation today. So not today, but Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'll run one from 9:30 to 11.
Oh,
So
nice.
if you guys need details on that, I do the same thing Tuesdays and Thursdays. Just reach out to me and I can send you the link. Who do I
also,
call,
Steve, and
Yeah.
one more thing I wanted to add. When someone hangs up on you, or like 2 weeks ago, I got told to F off
Right.
live. Okay, guys, and I say this at church, guys, think about how bad, you got to be empathetic for them. Because when someone tells you to go F yourself or hangs
Mhm.
up on you and they're calling, and then it's not about you, it's about them. Like,
Mhm.
man, what a bad place they must be in. Or they're probably going through a tough time right now. They probably just got divorce papers served to them and you called at the wrong time. They probably just have, I don't know, but you don't know what they're going through. So we
Yeah.
need to have a more empathetic view of life. Like when someone cuts you off in traffic, you don't know what that person's going through. You don't know what they were doing. You're only assuming that it was you, assuming it's them and their fault. They're not paying attention. Like what? So just open up your lens a little bit. I would challenge you that you don't know what's happening on the other side, right? And when you're dealing with other human beings, that's just going to be part of the business. I'm not telling you it's not going to hurt you, because 3 weeks ago, when the guy told me to go F myself, it took me back. I was like, what? I'm like, man, you told me to go F. So my first reaction was like, man, it hurt my feelings. But then you process it. You're like, okay. And then I went through it live so you can see me. I'm like, all right, you know what? It's okay. That guy probably went through something and we talked about it. And it was a great teaching moment. So everyone can see me go through that. Like, okay, I feel these things. But like Steve says, but I have a muscle now of endurance of being told no. That's like,
Yeah.
okay. And then I just clicked the button and it just called the next number, next number, next number. And then I made a friend like 10 minutes later. And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the muscle that Steve's talking about, that through reps, you'll develop. That identity of yours will start changing with reps. It's not to say you won't get hurt. It won't happen, but it doesn't stop you. Okay. You'll keep going is what's going to happen. You'll fall in love with that process.
I couldn't agree more, Andy. You know what I mean? That's what I tell myself. Like, what, you know what I mean? What's going on in this person's world for them to lash out like that? You know what I mean? All I can do is just hope whatever's going on, they're okay, and I'm on to the next call.
That's
Because
it.
it's something within them. It's not within me, you know? So couldn't agree more. Q&A for a little bit. Are you good, Andy, for a few minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm good, man.
And then, all right, who we got? Will, fire away. Will, what do you got?
All right, just kind of along the same lines you were just talking about of the call and somebody being ugly to you. The hangups are like, they're not even thinking about you. So, I mean, we're thinking about them because we want to connect with them and help them. And we're catching them totally off guard. So why would we be surprised if they want to, what is this? And move on. Like an example on the complete other end of the spectrum, I was at my mom's house the other day and she's almost 80 years old and we're talking and chatting about something and a call comes in and she goes, hold on just a minute, answers it. And she goes, hello. And then she just takes it and hangs up and then continues with our conversation. Absolutely nothing malicious for the person on the other end. She just didn't want to interrupt our conversation to continue a conversation with them.
Right.
So she hung up and moved on. And if that person got their feelings hurt over that the person just hung up on you is not even thinking about you anymore. It's not about you. It's such an awesome point. It's not about you. It's about you created a moment that they don't want to stay in. So they hang up and move on. And you should do the same.
Yeah. And we need to remind
true.
ourselves of that, right? We need to get in that mindset so that we can pick up the phone and do it all over again. We need to remind ourselves of that going into the calls. So, anybody else?
Good stuff.
You always say anybody else and then it's crickets, right? Tiffany knows that. Anything in closing, Andy? Anything in closing to maybe, you know, we've covered quite a bit, but to get them to take action, to get into action and do it consistently.
What I would do is,
Do it.
I would challenge, because you guys are a team, right? All of you guys are on the same team.
We're within the same group. So we've got
Because what I would do
business
is-
partners across the country.
We have a
What I would do
godfather.
is, the what?
Go ahead, Andy. Go ahead.
Oh, because what I would do is you guys should create accountability partners within your team, so you guys can hold each other accountable to the morning routine that you guys wrote down and what time they're going to prospect. So then you can take a picture of your morning routine, send it to an accountability partner in your team, and then check up on that person the next day and say, hey, so of all the things you wrote down on your list, what did you do? Were you able to be in integrity with your morning routine, and what got in the way? And just check in on each other daily as something to do. That's what we do in our team, and is having accountability, like you guys have meetings and all that. So that's a good thing to do, is form an accountability partner. So you guys
Gotcha.
can actually implement and be clear.
Okay, that's good to know. I think that integrity part is a big part too, just the integrity within yourself to do what you're gonna say you do and do it. You know, and then as you do that, your confidence grows, then your competence grows, and it's a cycle, you know?
That's
So, yeah. Simon, what do you got, bud?
Hey, I just wanted to thank you, Steve and Andy, for doing this. You know, this whole thing about what you're saying makes sense, because when I first started with GPS, these morning calls would come up, the text messages would come up, and then in your mind you start feeling guilty, like, hey, if you don't follow this routine, get on these morning calls every day, then you didn't achieve your goals. So I think if you guys are working with other people in the group, then maybe what you just said, accountability, you know, hold Andy accountability. Hey, tomorrow you said you're going to do this, and send him a text if he's part of your group. So then it triggers them that, hey, I'm going to let Andy down if I don't do my habits right. You know, that's a good idea.
I'm telling you, Simon, professionals will seek out accountability. They want it. You know what I mean? So that they can
So
get
true.
better.
So true.
Krista, what do you got?
Hey, Krista,
Hey, Andy, how are you?
how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Nice to see you. Awesome.
Thanks. Nice to see you as well. Thanks for this call today. I know I have a few team members on this call today. Can you just share with us what system you use for calling? I know there's Redx, Mojo, Vulcan 7. And within those systems, do you do for sale by owners, expired, circle prospecting? Can you just share that with us?
Yeah, we use RedX. So we partnered up with RedX because they just make prospecting easy. But like we tell our students, we're not married to just RedX. If you have Mojo, Vulcan 7, anything. So to us, it doesn't matter what system you use. It's about getting you to just take action. So like Steve said, it could be your cell phone. It could be free leads on your phone. That's it. But we do use RedX. We use the dialer, and we do call a lot of for sale by owners. Now what we're doing is the inventory on for sale by owners may not be as much, but we love for sale by owners because we call a for sale by owner, we make a friend with them, and we tell that FSBO, hey, I'm gonna go door knocking in your neighborhood and call your neighborhood as well. Talk to me about your property. I'm gonna promote it for you. So now you're being specific with it, and then we call that neighborhood and door knock that neighborhood. So we go from FSBO, and then we just start marketing that property around it. So that's something we do as well.
Gotcha.
And then KV Core, we set up our automations. Obviously, with KV Core, it's an automation of weekly emails and monthly text messages to have that, to have your list nurtured. It's still not a replacement for follow up, right? But it's a good way for them to kind of raise their hand if they're looking at properties that you can see on the dashboard on KV Core and all that. So definitely use KV Core. It's one of the best CRMs we have. So it's awesome.
Does that help, Krista? Yeah? Okay.
Yes, thank you so much. Mhm.
Yeah, use a dial, guys. A dialer is huge. If you've already gone through a lot, having a dialer is huge, because if you're just dialing with your fingers, you're wasting time and you're allowing your brain to get in the way to get you distracted. So I highly recommend a dialer.
Having a dialer, right? It keeps you locked in.
Keeps you locked in.
Yeah, you're held hostage. There's no way out. So
Yep,
that's
yep.
what I like about it.
1000%. And if you need
Yeah.
a coupon, since we're partners with them, I have coupons for Red X too. You can message me on that because I'm strong into, you have to make prospecting easy, guys. If you're still dialing, I can make 100 phone calls in an hour with a dialer.
Mhm.
Okay. So you got to get the volume. You got to have thousands of conversations. And if you want to make $100,000 a year in this business, at least, you need to be making, you know, hundreds and hundreds of calls a week and have dozens of conversations a day.
Mhm. Will is back. Will?
Hey, yeah, sorry, I don't mean to monopolize the time. Andy, one of the
Yes,
things I
you.
found early on is, it's the first hurdle, the first call is a really high hurdle. It's like 6 feet tall, but once you get over that, the next one's 4 feet tall, then the next one's 2 feet. And then by the time you get into 3 or 4,
You got it.
it's not really that hard to keep going until you get that discouraging one. So one of the things I found helpful early on was just to do my sphere calling first. It gets you over the hump of the dial. You're going to call somebody who's going to be happy to talk to you. It can be business this time, or it can be just catch up this time. But, obviously you want to have business conversations with your sphere as well. But knowing that there's going to be a happy person on the other end to get your first couple of calls out of the way was really helpful to me when I first got into this business, because it is hard to get over that first hurdle.
That's actually a great point. So if you have that fear, guys, Will brings up a great point. Then introduce fear, call someone you know first, and then call the strangers after. So yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it's almost priming, right? It gets you primed. Sometimes we'll split up our call time. We'll do an hour and a half, like KV Core and Sphere of Influence, and we'll do an hour and a half expired FISBOs. So sometimes we'll break it up. And Yvette, I just use a single. Until you get real hardcore, I'm just using a single.
Exactly.
For now.
And if you don't, and if you know, you have the KV Core, it's basically got a single line dialer.
Mhm.
So if you have your database set up with hashtags, whatever it is, Georgia system 1 through 28, or, hashtag Monday, hashtag Tuesday, whatever, you can call those up on your phone, in your app on your phone. And as you're driving, boom, hit it,
Yeah.
and it calls the next person, and you're still inside, you're still locked in, which is a really, really great point you made, Steve, of being locked in. But anyway, and Yvette, that's a great question. If you're only doing, if you're not going crazy on, calling 300-400 people a day, you're just calling 15-20. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
Thank you,
another, Bill, that's a great point, because the KV Core app is phenomenal, and using that as a dialer is not as fast, but it's much better than just dialing with your fingers. So, and it has a countdown too, right? I think it counts down to the next phone call, like 5, 4, 3, 2,
Yeah.
and boom, it calls the next one. And then and you can leave notes right after and all this stuff. So it's awesome. Yeah. The KV Core app is a great recommendation. So yeah.
So you can be sitting in the school line and hey, get 2 calls in while you're waiting to pick up your kids, if something happens.
Yep.
So awesome, guys. Listen, I hope you guys got value today. I really do. Action items off of this call. What I would tell you to do is, if you really want this, go find an accountability partner right now and make a commitment. Start small. Do 5 calls a day for the next 30 days. Guarantee your business, things are going to happen. I guarantee it. But you've got to find that accountability partner to hold you accountable, and you've got to get into action. Andy, any closing words?
Guys, here's the way I say it, is this. You're calling someone to help them out. And here's the framework that I told. This is the biggest thing I need you to understand. High level, this is what prospecting is. Okay. The same reason I sell my coaching program, when someone talks about it, I have an obsession of, like, if this person doesn't sign up with my coaching program, they're going to end up going back to their old habits, and they're going to end up quitting the business. I get obsessed that way because I know the services my company does and who I am, right? So you need to get obsessed with who you are and the services you provide. That if you don't call your friend, if you don't call that random stranger, guess what? They have a high percentage chance of getting with a piece of crap realtor. Because I'll tell you this, the majority of realtors out there suck. They don't return your phone calls. They don't have the integrity they should. They're losing people money. And so I get obsessed with, I need to call people, because if they don't do business with me, I may not be the best, but I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to stay on top of it. I'm going to communicate with them. I'm going to get them the answers or find the answers. So look at prospecting as, I'm doing you the favor of being with the right agent, because I trust myself. I trust my team. And if you go with somebody else, you have a high percent of chance, because anyone can get a license in this industry. And guys, I coach these people, and a lot of agents are just not good. And I'm like, how the hell do you manage someone else's most expensive freaking investment? So get obsessed with calling people, because you're changing lives. And if they go with another person, they run the risk of getting with another realtor that is not going to serve them like you. That's what prospecting is. And if you don't believe in yourself, if you're not going to good business, then you're in the wrong business, and go get a job and go do something else. But this is what we do. We are prospecting to help people. And I truly stand behind it. That's why I get obsessed with selling Habit Guys, because I know what's on the other side. So get obsessed with selling your business, because you know who you are and what's on the other side and what kind of team you have. That's what
Fired
prospecting
up.
is.
Fired up, Rosas.
Don't
Calm
get me
down,
fired
Andy.
up. Let's go.
That's
But that's
right.
what it is, guys.
That's
That's
right.
what
They'll
that's what
end up-
prospecting is.
If it's not you, they're going to end up with, in a weak moment, they'll end up with a weak agent. So
Let's
do the
go.
right thing.
Oh,
Do
yes.
the right thing and get them with the right agent, which is you. All
Let's
right,
go,
guys.
bro. I'm
Hey.
gonna chest bump you, Steve.
Have an
Love it.
awesome Valentine's Day. Andy, I'll talk to
Later.
you soon. Thank you, Tiffany.
All right, guys. Take care.